Am I audible? Thank you all for being here. My name is Lateefah Simon, and I represent Oakland, California, and California's 12th District. We're all so humbled. I think folks have said just how humbled we are to hear these stories. And your stories, they shock us. They also lift up the betrayal, the deep and profound betrayal that you and thousands others have experienced in just the last 10 months. But from even just walking over here and listening to your testimony, what you remind us of with your courage is while this is in fact crisis, in many ways, each one of your stories, you tell us that this is in fact reoccurrence. In this country, there are thousands, like I said before, of folks who have experienced what you have experienced. And there are millions who accompany your choir, who can say their grandparents experienced the same fate, regardless of their documentation. So your courage here today, you bring forth literally millions of people in this room. This may be a shadow hearing, but the world is watching, and your brothers and sisters are listening, and that courage will permeate this room, and you are going to continue to task us to fight like hell with all that we have, to shine a mirror to the devil that created the conditions that you're talking about today. One such amazing, brilliant survivor of this carnage worked in my district. Her name is Ms. Kaur, a 73-year-old Sikh woman, 73, who is beloved in the Bay Area, beloved. She spent more than 3 decades living, working, and building her life here in the United States as an asylum applicant. 20 years waiting for that moment where she could raise her hand and swear that she took an oath. She was waiting for that moment and has never received that moment. That goes beyond Republican and Democrat. That speaks to a failed system that many of us know all too well. In 2005, a judge issued a removal order on Ms. Kaur, but in the absence of proper documentation from India, the US government never acted on the order. And for 20 years, 2 decades, our government recognized Ms. Kaur that she was not a threat, and they chose not to remove her. And since then, she has paid her taxes, worked every single day, had no criminal record, and built herself and her life and her love of country. She was a seamstress who literally worked days after days, months after months, years after years, till her hands quaked. And every 6 months, without fail, she reported to ICE in San Francisco, to the federal building, to renew her work authorization. She did everything that our system asked her to do. But during her most recent check-in, and remember, this woman is in her 70s, in September, without warning, ICE, the officers handcuffed her, shackled her, chained her legs, placed her in detention, and immediately flew her back to detention. Immediately. She didn't get to say goodbye to her family, her grandchildren, her friends. The administration claims that they only want to deport criminals, yet Ms. Kaur, a grandmother with no criminal record, who followed every damn rule and requirement, was swept up to satisfy the president's cruel and arbitrary deportation quota. You bring Ms. Kaur and all of those who have sacrificed, unfortunately, all that they have, and yet were betrayed. I'm so thankful. And I had a question, but your testimony, you've answered so many of the questions, but I think in my 23 seconds, all I have is to say thank you. Thank you for your courage. Thank you for living exactly what is written on the base of the Statue of Liberty. That is the truth. That is the truth. And this too is our America. Continue to hold not only the Republican Party and the administration accountable, hold Democrats to the fire. Together we owe you justice. And I'll yield back.